Guess what happened on the 4th of May? Star Wars Day. But also we found out that Stadia's vice president left. I think he's gone to work for Facebook. Ew. Also around that time, another 6 Stadia staff went to work for Haven Studios, a new game studio set up by another former Stadia vice president, Jade Raymond, who left after Stadia closed down its in-house development studios in February. I'd previously heard of Haven Studios and how they'll be making a new IP for PlayStation, but I failed to connect the dots there. Anyway, as it seems I say every month, come on Stadia, your plot in the Google graveyard awaits. On the 5th, Nintendo announced the Game Maker Garage for Switch, a game about making games, which is not a new concept, but one that looks like it'll be executed pretty well, so anything that gets more people interested in coding in a fun and accessible way seems like a good move to me. Also on the 5th, Humble Bundle reversed its decision to get rid of the sliders after all the backlash. I feel like it's important to state that the backlash came from not only fans but developers too. They know what they're getting into when they put a game up on Humble, and while the change would have secured them a solid cut, a lot of studios don't put games on Humble to make money. Oftentimes games get put on at the end of their cycle as a way of raising exposure for new games coming out, so any change that disgruntles Humble's user base and makes them want to stop using the site is bad for devs. In any case, after seeing sense that removing the USP of your entire service ain't a smart move, the sliders are here to stay and all is good. For now. Some Weasley wording suggested that Humble is looking into different approaches to how sliders and splits work. So don't be surprised if there's some minimum percentage caps on them in the future, but at least consumers will be able to maintain a higher level of autonomy than was originally planned. And on the 6th, Hard Space Shipbreaker, the early access game about cutting up spaceships to pay off an exorbitant space debt, got an update that brings some difficulty revamping ship variety and Act 1 of a fully voiced campaign. Well, placeholder voiced at the moment with professional voice actors to come later. And this seems like the right way to go about things. The game is perfectly solid on its own at the moment, so now they have the substance, it's time to work on the style, building up the world and making the whole thing a lot more immersive. I look forward to seeing where it goes. On the 7th, Stephen Totillo, ex-editor-in-chief of Kotaku, had a chat with Ubisoft and confirmed that all new games that they make will be labelled with a Ubisoft original. This means very little both in terms of significance of the story and the essence of the phrase, but it does confirm that it's Ubisoft, not Ubisoft, or they would have used an. So take that. Sticking with the game studio with the horrible culture of sexual abuse that they seem quite determined we all forget about, on the 11th they announced that Skull and Bones has been delayed to the financial year of 2022 at least. Remember Skull and Bones? It's that pirate game they announced in 2017 when they said it'd be coming out in 2018? Which is when they said it'd be coming out in 2019. Which is when they said it'd be coming out in 2020. Which is when they said it'd be coming out in 2021. So yeah, I wouldn't bet on it meeting this new target, especially with reports that they've restarted the entire development, but maybe the 5th time's the charm. Also on the 11th, Disco Elysium The Final Cut got reviewed in Australia with the conclusion that it shouldn't be banned, but should instead get an 18+ rating, as while the drugs in the game do give short-term benefits, it is made clear that they lead to long-term detriment. This is the right answer, and it's the one the classification board really should have gone with in the first place. If you gotta break out the classification review board to get these kinds of results, it begs the question, what's the point in the whole first step? Also on the 11th, Teardown, the early access voxel-based destruction and heist game, got an update that helps it run way smoother, allowing you to break way more things without the game slowing down. How they managed to optimise it so well is a mystery, but it comes in very handy as the update has also upped the size of buildings that recognise gravity. Previously, you could blow out the entire ground floor of a house, but as the upper floors were so large they just sort of ignore physics and hang in the air. But from now on, they will collapse, and it will be glorious. On the 12th, the Nintendo Switch got a new third-party app called Calculator. It's a calculator. It costs £8.09. Who's gonna buy it except a few people for the memes? I don't get it. I don't understand business. I have a calculator app on my phone. I have a calculator app on my PC. I have browsers on both. Google has a calculator built in. I have a calculator. So, somebody please explain. Please, I beg you. On the 13th, E3 revealed details of its app for the all-digital E3 2021. Apparently you'll be able to make an avatar and play games and get points and get on leaderboards, and to be honest, I'm probably just going to watch a co-stream like I usually do. And on the 14th, Fall Guys accidentally released its source code with an update on Steam that contained the file fallguys_client_ backup this folder_ but don't ship it with your game. Whoops. The file wasn't actually named by the Fall Guys devs, it's one that gets auto-generated by Unity, and it was only available for around half an hour, but news obviously got out and the damage might already be done. Looking into it, the code isn't just there for all to see, it requires some code wizardry to be usable, but it seems like that may be possible, and Fall Guys might have to deal with an influx of cheaters sometime soon. On the 16th, Unnamed D uploaded 3 YouTube videos showcasing a successful 9-hour attempt at beating Grand Theft Auto 5 without taking any damage, and becoming the first person in the world to have documented their experience doing so. Apparently it was his 48th attempt, which is absolutely crazy, and as I've said before, I always find these sorts of feats really genuinely amazing. So congrats to the fella. And then, on the 17th, things got serious. Over the previous weekend, in the midst of the most recent fighting in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, there's at time of writing left at least 248 Palestinians dead, including 66 children, and 12 Israelis dead, including 1 child. The staff of the entertainment website IGN made a post titled How to Help Palestinian Civilians that contained links to various charitable resources that you will see on screen now. By the 17th, they were penning a letter on Medium addressed to the leadership team and owners, Ziff Davis and J2 Global, who would force them to take the post down. This is likely because some shady investors that fill the pockets of those Ziff Davis and J2 higher-ups support Israel. And let's be real, they probably get their money from selling weapons to the Israeli Defense Force. They don't want to hear a single word in support of their opposition, and thus the spineless higher-ups must go along with what they say in order to keep the money flowing to fund their 7th yacht at the expense of providing help to the families of actual murdered children. It's a tale as old as capitalism. Speaking of capitalism, on the 18th, the game Friday Night Funkin's Kickstarter came to a close. They had a target of $60,000 and managed to raise $2.2 million, funding the game 36 times over. And yeah, they seem pretty sound. I look forward to seeing what they can make with all that extra money. Hopefully they don't go the way of Star Citizen, yada yada. I'm sorry, it feels really weird to have that story right next to the one about resources for donating to Palestinians murdered in conflict. But the news didn't stop, so on the 19th, Nintendo revealed that their HD remaster of Skyward Sword for the Switch would include a new quality of life feature. Where originally you could only travel between the surface and sky worlds from certain locations, you'll now be able to do it from anywhere. If you spend £30 on the amiibo that allows you to do it, on top of the £50 for the actual game. I think at this point, if you just want the feature and don't care for the statue, it's morally fine to buy 10 NFC chips for a $5 and program one with a code that somebody will inevitably leak online. Legally, I don't know, so I don't advocate that you do it, but morally, you're probably in the clear. And on the 20th, we found out there's going to be a new Time Splitters. You know Time Splitters? You showed us in the last video. Even better than that, it's being made by Free Radical Design, who are being reformed to work on it. Even better than that, the new team will include staff from the original Free Radical who worked on the original games. I've never played one, I was 5 when the 3rd game came out, so my hype train isn't at full steam, but I can see why this is a good thing. Fingers crossed it turns out well. On the 21st came the news that Euro Truck Simulator 2 and American Truck Simulator's official multiplayer convoy modes are now open in public beta, allowing you to host private sessions with up to 8 people, with synchronized AI traffic and time and weather, sort of. It is a beta, so it's buggy and for testing purposes only, but it's pretty cool and a sign of good things to come. The 24th was the birthday of everyone's favourite YouTuber and streamer, Queen Victoria, and more importantly the confirmation that a movie based on Portal and made by J.J. Abrams is finally getting its script written. And I'm not going to lie to you, I often get my directors mixed up, what with your JJs and your Josses and your Johnsons, so allow me to look up the last film that J.J. Abrams was responsible for writing, directing and producing. The Rise of Skywalker. Oh, on the 25th, the creator of Steam database, Pavel Jundik, found some code within Steam referring to the Steam PAL, and that was basically everything that was confirmed. But it led to some speculation about Steam creating a Switch-like console, backed up by alleged leaks reported to Ars Technica, so we'll have to keep our eyes peeled about that. On the 26th, Nintendo announced the release date of Pokemon Legends Arceus, and it's the 28th of January, which seems threateningly soon for a game that looks like there's still quite a lot of work to be done. And on the 27th, Bloomberg backed up their previously reported rumours about a new Nintendo Switch, saying it will probably cost more than the original, may even start shipping by July, and will probably be announced officially before E3 so that publishers can use the event to show off their games for it. With E3 starting on the 12th of June, time is running out to see if any of this will come to pass. And finally, on the 28th, Ubisoft said their upcoming Far Cry 6, a game about revolution against a dictator on a Caribbean island that's basically Cuba in all but name, isn't political. This follows in the footsteps of Watch Dogs 2, a non-political game about how mega corporations exploit your data, Far Cry 5, a non-political game about religious extremism, and Watch Dogs Legion, a non-political game set in a post-Brexit London after Scotland has gained independence and rejoined the EU. to name but a few. It's obvious why they do this. They make a political game set in the recent past, or contemporary or near future setting, because it's almost impossible not to. Politics is woven into everything humanity does. But then they say it's not political to appease a portion of the fan base that says things such as "keep politics out of my video games, Trump 2024. Because, you know, our old pal capitalism. So what was really eyebrow raising was when they then clarified the game was political all along, but it just wasn't making a specific statement about Cuba and rather dictatorships and revolution in general. Ah, way to buck the trend. Though it's of course quite horrifying that we're all surprised when a AAA company finally tells the truth. And that's it. Next month is E3, God help us all. Bye.